Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Mrs. Wormley. So we are going to start taking notes in this foldable. So I have to zoom in because I can't zoom in or out when I'm doing the notes. But this should be either glued in your composition book. It looks like this, and it has the two flaps that open. Talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. And so this is in your composition book if you glued it. If not, that's okay. I'm going to do it without being in the composition book, so it's easier to write. You can glue it after. So we're going to talk about parallel lines and perpendicular lines and how we know what is what. So if they're parallel lines, then you have two lines that look like this. And so they're evenly spaced, you can see. And the definition of parallel means that they never touch. And so sometimes parallel lines, like you could say lines are parallel using that symbol. And so these look like they're the exact same, just like one slid up. So if you were to take this one and like slid up, it would lay on top of each other. And so we're going to look at the slope. So when you count slope, it's from left to right. So to go from on A, this point you have to go down one, and then over, and then count how many over you have to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the slope is 1 down and 6 to the right, or we're going to say over 6. And so to write that in slope, remember if it's down, it's negative 1/6. And so that's my slope. The rise is a negative 1 down, and then to the right 6. And then for line B, we're going to do the same thing. So down 1. So we're going to say it's 1 down. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over, which is negative 1/6. And so since these slopes are the same, we know they're parallel. So parallel lines have slopes that are the same. Okay, so slopes are the same, they're parallel lines. So now we're going to look at this chart. And I'm going to give you a minute. You can pause and you can fill in if the slope that's given in the equation is this. What would a parallel slope have? So slope's going to be the same if lines are parallel. And so for the first one, 2/3, what's the same as 2/3? The slope of a parallel line will be the same, 2/3. So finish guessing what you think those are going to be. You can pause it. And now hopefully you pause it, you already think of what it is. So this one's the same, so negative 4. It's the same slope, negative 1/4. The same slope, 2. And so slope that's parallel to the given slope is just going to be the same. And so this is the same slope. All right, so now are the given lines parallel? So we have to look at our slopes to see if it's parallel. So remember the slope, if you go in y equals mx plus b format, that b or m, the m is what we're looking at for your slope. So next to the x is your m. So I'm going to circle the number next to the x and look at 1/2 and 2. Are those the same? The answer is no. And so are these lines parallel? No. And the reason why? Different slopes. Different slopes. Squeeze it in there. Okay, so again, now look at this pair. Circle your slope, the number in front of the x. That's a 3 and a negative 3. Those are different signs, so they're different numbers. So are they the same? The answer is no. They have different slopes. And now I have this last one. And so this is x over 7 minus 6. And this is 1/7 x. So again, I'm going to look at this slope is 1/7. Over here, it just says x divided by 7. That really is, though, 1/7 times x over 1. And so 1 times x is just plain x, and 7 times 1 is just plain 7. So your slope is actually 1/7. And so those are the same. So these are the same, and so this means that these are, so yes, those are parallel. Same slope. All right. So now we know if I look at the equation, I need to have the same slope to be parallel. So now, our next down here, we need to write the equation of the line that goes through this point, but is also parallel to that line. So if it's parallel, I know it has the same slope, so that 2/9, and it's going to be parallel to that, so 2/9. And instead of going through your y-intercept of -5, it's going to go through the point 0, 0. So there's two steps to do this. The first one is graph the original line. So we're going to graph y equals 2/9 x minus 5. And we did notes on how to graph. So remember, we start with our y-intercept. So in this case, our slope is 2/9, and our y-intercept is 0, -5. This -5 is my b, and this is my m. And so I'm going to start at -5 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to use my slope 2/9. These are both positive, so I'm going to go up 2 and to the positive 9. So I'm going to go up 2 and then count over 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to end right there. And then I want to use some kind of straight edge to connect these points. So there's my line that goes through those. So I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to have this first one be in this blue color. So, oops, my marker is not working. It just worked earlier. We'll use this blue. So this I'm going to go over in blue. If you have a colored pencil, you can go over it, or in a highlighter. And so that's 1. And so this is the y equals 2/9 x minus 5 in blue. And now I need to graph the one that's going to be parallel but go through 0, 0. Well, if it goes through 0, 0, it's going to go right there. That's through the origin. So now we're going to start at 0, 0. And then I'm going to use the parallel. The one is parallel, so it's the same slope. So remember, parallel equals the same slope. And so now I want to go up 2 and over 9. So I'm going to start at 0, 0, up 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right there. And then I'm going to actually go over this in a red colored pencil. Nope. Red pen. And I'm going to do this line in red. And again, I'm going through those 2 points. And so there's that line. And if you can see, these are parallel. So they aren't going to cross. They have the same slope between the 2 points. Remember, this was up 2 and over 9. So your slope triangle is 2, 9. And so this equation, you don't need to have this down like memorized yet, but if your y-intercept is 0, then you're not going to have a b. You could have plus 0 if you want. And the slope is 2/9. So this equation is y equals, your slope is 2/9 x, and your y-intercept is 0, 0, so I'll just put plus 0. So that's this red one right here. I'll go over that in red. That's this one, and then the blue is your 2/9 x minus 5. So exactly same line, just slid down to -5. So these are actually, if you count, 5 units apart. And so that was there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every point on this is going to be 5 units apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you drew it right, every time you go to the next point, they're 5 units apart. All right, so that's how you know if they're parallel lines. Slope is the same. I'm going to stop this video and let you finish this and then practice some parallel lines, and then I'm going to show you the notes for the perpendicular lines. So if you ever have questions, feel free to rewatch the video, And if you need help on something or you don't understand something that's in the video, then you can talk to Ms. Wormley or to someone in your team to get some extra support. All right, have a great day and continue on to the next video.